Hello, my friends, and welcome to E3. Man, it's a beautiful, amazing Monday. I'm so excited. We are what's today? July 18th. Today is my anniversary as a bishop. I was consecrated, I believe, 8 years ago. So I want to thank my staff for reminding me that today is my consecration anniversary as a bishop in the Lord's Church. Uh, over the course of the years of my life, I got a whole lot of anniversaries: preaching anniversary, pastor's anniversary, wedding anniversary, family anniversary, all kind of anniversaries. So listen, right now, go and invite people. Go right now and invite someone to watch. Go right now. Do not wait. Invite 10 people. Invite 10 people because today's going to be amazing. Because today I'm asking the question: what are you waiting for? Right? And I want you to put it on the screen. Uh, I want you to type it in the thread. What are you waiting for? Everybody, what are you waiting for? I want us to get to 100 tonight. So let's go ahead and invite, and let's get people connected. Let's invite people. What are you waiting for? Man, really today came from reading Joshua 18. You know, we're reading through Joshua, right? So we're Joshua 18 today. And verse 3 said, Joshua says to seven tribes that have not yet occupied their possession of the land, that they have not taken ownership of their possession of the land. And Joshua says to them, what are you waiting for? He said, God's already given this to you. Why have you not taken possession of the land? God has already given it to you. Why have you not taken possession of the land? So I started sending this out to various groups that I'm on. And the thing that God really said to me, and it really blew my mind, was the fact that there's a point when the holding pattern is your fault. Now, I know that we don't like to use that kind of language when we're trying to encourage people and inspire people, but I need you to hear what I just said. There's a point where God's not holding you up anymore, where God is not the one that's got you in a holding pattern. You know, I remember I preached a sermon years ago, and I'm gonna preach this text from Joshua 18:3. But I preached this years ago, and I preached it from like Judges, chapter 3, or something 13, I think. And basically it was real simple. The Lord said Numbers 13. And the Lord said to them, the Lord said, possess the land and go now. And then Caleb said, we can take the land now. I want to say to you that the season of waiting is over. Now, I do understand that there is a place where you are waiting, but waiting is not passivity. Waiting is not just sitting around. Waiting is about you walking out the plan and the purpose of God, right? Doing it patiently, but you're still walking it out. There's this wonderful quote by a guy by the name of Dean Kurtz, and the quote says, "We are not born to wait. We are born to do." We're not born to wait. We're not born to sit around. We're not born to be passive. We're born to do. So even if there's not a whole lot of obvious movement in my life, I'm still actively pursuing the plan of God. I'm still actively executing the visions and the goals and the objectives of my existence. I'm still walking out this because stagnation is not going to become how I'm defined. I'm not going to be defined by stagnation. I'm not going to be defined by feeling stuck. I'm going to be defined by the fact that I'm pushing forward, I'm moving in the right direction, and I'm doing the things I'm created to do. Everybody, invite, right? Invite someone to watch right now. I promise you, what I'm getting ready to show you is going to be amazing. So, of course, the critical question is always, how do we move from waiting to manifestation? How do we move from this place where we feel like we're stuck and we're not getting anything done, to a place where we are obviously walking in manifestation. We're seeing things transpire. We're seeing things come to form, and we're feeling this kind of transfiguration of our own existence, where we are actually changing and shifting, and things are moving, and we're growing, and we're developing, and we're building content out for our lives, and we're building this sense of being an expert in something, and we're finding ourselves kind of making some things happen. How do we do that? Well, let me suggest some things today, right? Write this stuff down, because it's going to bless you. Here's the first thing. Identify what has you in a holding pattern. Now, again, almost every week I'm going to say the same things. I'm just going to frame it differently, because I really believe that there are some universal life principles for how someone accomplishes what they're created to accomplish, and how someone lives out that which they're called and uniquely created to do. And one of the most important things is when you feel your life is stuck, and when you feel your life is in a holding pattern, when you feel that your relationships are stuck, when you feel like your finances are stuck, when you feel your health is stuck, when you feel like your ministry or your business or your vocation or whatever is stuck, one of the first things you got to do is you got to identify what has you in a holding pattern. What has you feeling like you're just circling the field and you can't land? What makes you feel like you're just sitting on the runway? I fly all the time, so I'm going to use a lot of flying and imagery, right? It's just sitting on the runway, right? And I've been in that position where you're sitting on the runway, and the pilot comes on and says, "Hey, I know we're supposed to have left at 3:00, but air traffic control." I try to remember. Air traffic control says we can't leave until 3:30 because there's a whole lot of congestion at the airport in Charlotte. So we can't leave Jacksonville for 30 minutes because there's congestion in Charlotte. So we have to sit there. And so a lot of times you're in a holding pattern because you're waiting on other people. Wow. You're in a holding pattern because you're hoping other people do something. You're in a holding pattern because you're waiting on him to become a better husband or her to become a better wife. You're in a holding pattern because you're waiting on your boss to give you a raise, right? And you're sitting here waiting on your boss to give you a raise, and then you get angry and frustrated because, quote unquote, your boss isn't giving you a raise, and now you feel like you're not valued. And you sit there in a holding pattern financially, but you don't understand you can generate revenue outside of what you think is the only way to do it. You're in a holding pattern because you're loyal to somebody else, right? You say, "Oh, well, I got it, this, that, and the other," and you're sitting here, and time is slipping away. And you're going to look up, and you're going to be dealing with the constraints of age. You're going to be dealing with the fact that your best opportunity for generating revenue has already passed you. I understand right now that this is probably the best season of my life to generate the revenue that I want to generate, so my family and I can not only get out of debt permanently, but we can start stacking resources, not just for my retirement, but for the future of our family. I understand this is the best season. So I can't be stagnant in my learning curve. I can't be in a holding pattern trying to become dean. I can't be in a holding pattern becoming a pastor. I've got to understand that this season that St. Paul is in, even though people are slowly coming back, and they are, people are starting to come back, and it's exciting. Some people haven't come back, and that's okay. That's their choice. But I can't be in a holding pattern waiting for people to return. I have to push our ministry forward. I have to push the vision forward. So we got to build a new building. We got to do this. We got to do that. Why? Because we can't be in a holding pattern, waiting on other people and other things. So sometimes the reason you're in a holding pattern is because of the congestion that other people are creating in your life. You can't be in a holding pattern with your heart because you're still dealing with the pain of somebody breaking your heart. You can't be in a holding pattern in your life because you got these people who didn't know what to do with you. And now you're stuck and you won't move, and you're wondering why, because you're in a holding pattern. So you got to identify what's causing the congestion in your life. You got to identify why you're not moving. You got to identify why you feel stuck. And you got to identify why you're always revisiting the same conflict, the same issues, the same behavioral tendencies. Why is it that this same person is the person you're always trying to fix a relationship with? This same person, the same person you're always trying to get over. No, at some point in your life, you got to identify the holding pattern. Here's the second thing. Second thing is that you have to re-engage what Simon Sinek, or Simon Sinek, however you want to pronounce it, calls your just cause. He calls it your just cause. Now, just cause, before Simon took it and redefined it, had to do with this whole idea of the fact that if somebody was to be terminated, you had to have a legitimate reason for their termination. But Simon Sinek took this idea of just cause and redefined it. And here's how he redefined it. Watch the screen. Here's how he redefined it. A just cause is a specific vision of a future state that does not yet exist. A future state so appealing that people are willing to make sacrifices in order to help advance towards that vision. This is so big. This is so big. Because one of the things that I want everyone to grasp is that everybody needs a just cause. Everybody needs a vision for your future that is worth your sacrificing for. Everybody needs a just cause, something big enough that causes you to now do the things that are necessary. You do the discernible, dynamic, necessary things to move your life in a particular path, or down a particular path, or in a particular direction. This is so important. Whenever a church or a business, or for me, a school, whenever a family has a just cause, that means that family has identified this vision. This church has identified this vision. This business has identified this vision. This school has identified this vision. This individual has identified this vision. And this vision has brought them to this. They're now making sacrifices. I have a vision to sit on the patio of a beach house with my wife, right? In about 9 years, right? About 9 years. That's my goal. My grandkids running around, my children there, my friends flying in to see us and hang out with us because we're going to have enough rooms, all this kind of stuff. I have this dream of a beach house, right? Now we're going to have another house. I had this dream of a beach house. I now understand what I have to do to get there. So I'm willing to make sacrifices. Pastor G and I are willing to make sacrifices for our future because we understand. Listen, I need everybody to hear what I'm going to say. If you are loyal to something that doesn't produce the vision of the future you desire, that is unhealthy. If you are loyal to someone who is not going to help you produce that vision, if you're loyal to me, but you don't see any way that your relationship with me helps you produce the outcome that you want, then that is a dangerous loyalty, and you have to check it before your future becomes your present, and your present looks like your past. That is so big. If there's something about you, right? If you've got these personality traits and these tendencies that makes you unattractive to other people who can help you, if you've got these issues that you don't want to resolve, and you're going to look up one day and the issues are going to be staring you in the face, and you're going to still be stuck. So here's what you do. You determine a vision, a just cause. And this vision is so big till you make sacrifices. It's so big till you make adjustments. It's so big until you alter some plans to get to your vision. You alter some things to get to your purpose. This is one of the most important lessons I can teach you tonight. Is you have to re-engage your just cause. Because when you're in this holding pattern, when you're in this place where you're just waiting to wait, what are you waiting for? That's really what I heard Joshua saying. You're in this holding pattern. So let's go ahead and wake you up. Okay, remember what you're trying to get done. Here's number 3. Commit to uncomfortable but strategic actions. I've discovered one thing. When you feel called to something bigger, you will eventually have to go through the challenging season of uncomfortable but strategic actions. It's uncomfortable for me to be away from home as much as I am. It's uncomfortable to pack a bag and get on a plane every week. It's not always easy to do, right? Some weeks I want to be home. I love being home. I do. But here's what I'm discovering, that in order to achieve the things I want to achieve, I've got to be uncomfortable. As a pastor, it's uncomfortable, some of the things that God is calling me, requiring me to do. It's requiring another level of discipline to pastor St. Paul right now, because there are certain things that are dysfunctionally me. And so, but God is showing me, son, you can't be that person and get here. So I need you to make some adjustments. I need you to make some changes. I need you to kind of grow out of some things. I need you to grow up to some things, right? It's about making adjustments, and it's about making uncomfortable but strategic actions. I ran into this wonderful presentation about strategy, right? This guy who was doing this podcast on behalf of Harvard Business Review, talk about the difference between planning and strategy. And he said planning is about outlining actions and setting goals, but strategy is the process and the methodology by which you must employ to make the planning happen. He said, so this idea of strategic planning may not even be a legitimate concept. Now, whether I agree or disagree with that, here's what he hit me with, though. If you don't have a strategy, then your actions don't have a legitimate outcome to tap into your desire. You got to have a strategy, right? You got to have a strategy. If we want to grow St. Paul in this season, we got to have a strategy. I understand that worship has become a vital part of how people are now identifying themselves in terms of church. People need certain kinds of experiences, or people need healthy, positive worship experiences. So the strategy is you build out your music ministry. The strategy is the strategy is that you engage your ministry sons and daughters in participating. You have to have a strategy. You got it? You got to have a plan, but you got to have a strategy associated with the plan. And you must be willing then to do uncomfortable actions. Pamela Nicodem writes this about uncomfortable actions. She says, uncomfortable action means getting up and out of your comfort zone and deciding to make changes. Getting up and out of your comfort zone and deciding to make changes. Wow. So how do you do this? Well, here's the first thing. You got to get to this whole idea of enough is enough. You got to get to the place of enough is enough. You got to say to yourself, okay, I have reached my limit living at this level, operating at this level. I'm going to be aggressive. Enough is enough. Second thing is that you have to courageously reconstruct your behavioral patterns. I've watched Pastor G do this. I've watched her in terms of her health, physical. I've watched her. I've watched Taylor, our daughter, who used to eat chicken nuggets, right, and fries, now eating salmon. And this beautiful young lady, I mean, it's just amazing how she has just shaped up. I've watched her make behavioral pattern reconstruction, go through, behavioral pattern reconstruction. And it's amazing what happens when you are willing to reconstruct behavioral patterns. Oprah Winfrey once said, breathe, let go, and remind yourself that this very moment is the only one you have for sure. That's why you make behavioral patterns, because you know that the moment you're in, if you don't make some changes, you're going to miss it. Here's the other thing tied to that. Just leap. And you know what I was thinking about when I said just leap? I love water, right? I love the pool. But there are times when it takes like 10 minutes to get in the pool. And I mean, one day a few years ago, I went to a pool, right? And 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 something just said, why are you gonna waste 10 minutes filling the water? Just jump in. So I went to the deep end, right? And I just jumped in. I was dry and I jumped in and the water was chilly. But once I jumped in, I could get used to it. I could get used to the changing climate. I could get used to the changing conditions. I could get used to the changing of temperature. But I had to jump in. So here's what I want to tell you. Just leap. What are you waiting on? Who are you waiting for to be better? Just, did you hear that? Just leap. When I started E3, I didn't know. I just leaped. I just started doing it. Just leap. Here's the last thing tied to this. Uncomfortable but strategic actions. Don't look back. Just once you jump in, once you start the behavior, stay to it. Don't look back, which means that you got to fight that period about 20 to 30 days when it's not yet behavior. It's an experiment, and you got to keep doing it until you fight through that. Then all of a sudden it starts to become habitual, and now all of a sudden you're doing it because you love it, right? You're doing it because you love it. Here's the next thing. All right, I'm almost done, guys. Feed your mind and your soul what gives life and energy to you. Feed your mind and your soul what gives life and energy. So I'm going to give you, 5 things to do, all right? Ray's going to list these on the screen. I'm going to give you 5 things to do. Read, listen, focus, release, and reflect. See those 5 things? Make sure you write them down. Read, listen, focus, release, and reflect. Do these 5 things consistently, but do them with content that speaks to you. Why am I doing today's E3? Because Joshua 18:3 just jumped out at me. It just gut punched me. What are you waiting for when God has already given it to you? What are you waiting for? Why are you in this posture of holding of a holding pattern? What are you waiting for when God's already given it to you? The way you stay motivated while you're reconstructing behavioral patterns, the way you stay motivated while you're making these uncomfortable but strategic actions, the way you stay motivated while you're breaking tendencies and coming out of the holding pattern is you feed your soul and your mind. You feed it. Like today, like what you're doing right now. Some of you, I can remember there are times when Ann Thomas, I know she's watching today, because that's Ann. Ann Thomas, there have been times when E3's been like 3 minutes late, and Ann Thomas will text me, and all she'll say is E3 ? Nothing else. E3 ? She ain't playing, right? Some others of you have just been that kind of consistent because this feeds you. But now you got to take that and convert it into energy. All right, here's the last thing. All right, here it is. You ready? Express love by celebrating your progress. Express love by celebrating your progress. Buddha once wrote, Buddha, I know, right? You yourself, as much as anybody else in the entire universe, deserves your love and your affection. Whew. I close on that note. You deserve, if nobody else deserves it, you deserve to love yourself, and you deserve to be proud of yourself. You deserve to be able to look at your own life, see your growth, see your progress. That's why I look at some people and they're on Facebook and they're just taking selfies of, look at what I looked like before, look at what I look like now. I used to get like, but I started discovering something. They needed that celebratory moment. And here's why. Because the progress is now obvious. Now, of course, I always want you to not only lose the physical weight, but also lose the emotional weight, right? Make sure you lose the emotional weight. But yeah, take that selfie. Celebrate your progress. Don't sit around complaining even while you're trying to be better. No, celebrate. Celebrate your progress. That's the one thing I can do. On Thursday is our faculty and staff retreat. It's my third one. But last year this time, in preparation for it, I was apprehensive, I was nervous, I was all this kind of stuff. But here's what's really deep. I developed this presentation. Y'all ready? I developed this presentation that when it got time to do the presentation, I got cold feet and I didn't do it because I was nervous. I was like, these people are going to think I'm crazy. They're going to think, who is this guy? He's never been a dean. He has no experience. Man, we're not listening to him. Who is he? Right? Who is he? So I got cold feet. I put it away. Here's what's crazy. Spirit told me to go back and find it. Went back and found it. You want to know something crazy? I don't even have to change it. I just have to tweak it. Because everything I wrote last year, I can actually now say this year. What's the difference? I've grown so much in the role as dean until I now have the confidence to say what I wouldn't have said last year. That's something for me to celebrate. So when I woke up this morning at 5:30, 6 o'clock, and I started reading and everything and started looking, I said, wow, God, look how far I've come. That now, not only does the content match, but y'all ready to shout, but now I have the confidence to actually present it. I curse the holding pattern that some of you are in. And it doesn't have to be a life holding pattern. It could be in a particular area, like you're in a holding pattern with your health, or you're in a holding pattern with your finances, holding pattern with your relationships. I curse this in the name of the Lord Jesus. And I call you to go after the bigger, greater thing God has for you. I call you to trust God differently. Come out of the holding pattern. Pursue your purpose and your destiny. Listen, all of you know someone who needs to join the E3 community. All of you know someone that needs to join it. So I want you to text E3 to 84576, E3 to 84576. And I want you to share this with people, tag people, and have them to watch it, right? Because I really think that this is a great thing that we're doing every Monday. So tag some people, have them to watch it, and remember this: your life will only get better when you choose to. So one of my favorite phrases from a movie from Will Downing, from oh my God, from Robin Williams in the movie Good Will Hunting. All right, here, major statement: seize the moment. First time I heard that, it became my life's mantra. Seize the moment. I love you guys. I'll see y'all next week. Let's keep growing and let's go after what God has for us. Be blessed.